Hello, guys of United Rock Nations. We are with Bjorn, the singer of the Night Flight Orchestra. How are you?
I'm very good. It's good to be back.
Absolutely. We are here, of
Yeah.
course, to talk about the Give Us the
Mm,
Moon, the new album. It will be out in January.
mm,
Well, it's a great album. I love a lot your music.
mm,
It's not the first time that we met together.
mm,
Um, but if you take a look at your career, 7 albums,
mm.
Swedish Grammy nominations. When you created the band in 2007, did you imagine or that to be still there after all this year with that band? Because it's not your main band. At the beginning, you were in solo work.
Mm. Yeah, I'm not sure what I expected because it was really just in 2007. That's when I met David for the first time, and we started bonding over music. And the idea was born in 2007, but it didn't really become reality until maybe 2009. I think it was in the summer when we got together, when we found the right people to jam with, and when we got together for the first time, it was something really special, and I feel it was just like an outlet, something we needed to do, and coming from the metal world as well, and we were really curious about going to this other dimension, and but there and then, if somebody would have told us that we would have done like a Latin American tour, or gone to Australia and open up for Kiss and all these
Exactly.
things, I probably wouldn't have believed them. But I felt pretty confident from the start that we had something special, and I don't know, things have happened quite fast, but at the same time, it feels like such a long journey, and we've put out so much music and been so creative, and I'm just so happy that we still find so much inspiration like we did with this new album after we put out so much stuff. And so yeah, the journey continues, and it's a really exciting one. We're really excited, and been able to turn this around somehow after the passing of David, of course,
Yes,
which was
absolutely.
really tough, and
Absolutely.
and and to regroup and turn this around and carry on this legacy that I started with him as well. It's been a challenge.
Absolutely. I have a question about this, of course.
Yeah, of
This is
course.
this is
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
the first studio album without
Mm,
David. Absolutely.
mm, mm,
Was it easy to begin the songwriting of the new album without him? Um, and there is some
mm.
songs that he wrote before. I don't know, perhaps on this new album.
There's actually one song, and that's Like the Beating of the Heart. And it was actually meant for a different project that me and David were gonna have, but didn't really happen. And so that song has been lying around in the vault, and I picked it up because somehow I could hear it being performed by the Night Flight Orchestra, and I asked his family if they thought it was a good idea, and they gave me their blessing. So I'm glad we did. But that's the only contribution from David on the new album. But he's been very present, still, and when composing this album, we were so close for so many years, and I had to sort of tap into his world as well and take that with me, and make my palette bigger somehow, and include that without making it be seem forced. He needed to be a part of what I write as well, and it's been very inspiring somehow. And I discovered I could do so many things that I didn't expect to be able to do. It's been a very creative time, but also time for grieving, but also time to carry on this legacy and turn it into something really empowering and encouraging. Which has not been an easy task, but
Absolutely.
this band has been such a great family during this journey, and we've had so much fun and found the joy again in music, and that united us and make it really strong, and we had to dig really deep to make this the best possible album, and I feel like we've done everything we could have done,
Absolutely, it's
so
a
it,
great
it, it it's
album.
all in there. So
Absolutely, it's
thanks.
a great album. But when I first heard the new album,
Yeah.
I felt that the place of the guitars is more important. than the
Mm.
previous album. I don't know. It's my opinion. I don't know if I'm right or
Yeah.
not. And particularly in terms of solos, there is a lot of solos guitars.
Mm.
Are you agree with my feeling, what I think about or not?
Yeah, no. I mean, I've heard people saying that there's more keyboards than ever, and then I hear people saying that the guitar is more in the forefront. But I don't know. It's hard to say because I mean, we don't really think about, we don't really discuss if it should be more guitars. It's just like it happens, and some songs doesn't have much guitar at all, or at least not really like a heavy, like a distorted guitar. So. But I would say maybe the melodies and the leads are more focused and more direct, I guess, in a way. And
Mhm.
I mean, Rasmus, who replaced David, has a really, definitely has the David's tradition in his melodic language, but he also has a really personal, sound to it, and he's done some wonderful things on this new album. Amazing melodies and amazing leads. So yeah, maybe he's is more direct than David in a way. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Okay, so
Mm.
let's talk about the lyrics because what are the main topics you talk about on the new songs?
Mm.
There is a link with David or not on the lyrics.
Mm.
Tell us more about that.
Well, I mean, we put out the Sensation, which was released like a year ago or more, and that became sort of like the therapeutic song to celebrate the times that we had together. That's why I wrote that song to David, and that one is not on the album. But I mean, the album has also, you know, uh, David, with us while composing the album. I wouldn't say that there's any songs maybe that are dealing with like grief or anything like that. I felt like we needed to also move on somehow, and to go back, and I think we brought back a lot of the romanticized traveling with a lot of city names and street names, and also names of people. So that's something that what we wanted to bring back. And sorry, I think I lost track a little bit. You said, sorry, the question again,
No,
briefly.
it's about the lyrics, about the
Yeah,
topics
yeah,
you
yeah.
that
Like, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, the lyrics are, there's a lot of real life stories on the album, like Paloma, which is became a liberation song for this stewardess, which is a friend of me and my wife's, who started dating a pilot, and that relationship turned into something really destructive, and he didn't treat her very nice, but she kept coming back. So I felt frustrated, and I had to write a song about it. And on a flight home from Alicante last year, there was a stewardess on that flight named Paloma, and I was like,
huh?
that's the name. That's the name. I'm gonna name the song Paloma. And I started writing the whole lyric on the flight home.
Oh,
So it was
that's
written in the air, and it became this liberation song for this friend of ours, and she loved the song, and she's no longer together with the pilot. I don't know if the song had anything to do with it, but I'd like to think so. Um, so there's that. There's Melbourne May I is also a real life story, or sort of, because when we, the same day we were flying to Australia last year with the Night Flight Orchestra, I got to know that my mom had breast cancer,
oh.
and that's tough to make a trip like that to the other side of the world, and with that in mind, and we did this tour, and I had to stay strong, and everything sort of culminated when we came to Melbourne. We had some really great shows, and the Melbourne show was just absolutely insane. Like, it was electric, and I really felt like I was among family, with the band, and also the crowd, and like sort of really broke down after the show. And it was just a special time, and it gave me the comfort and strength, and my mom went through chemo therapy, and she's well now. So knock, knock,
Right,
knock, and
right,
yeah.
right.
So I don't know. I just had to write some kind of a tribute to that night, and it might be about Melbourne, but there's definitely something special about Australia as well. So yeah.
And I have a question about that song, Melbourne May
Mm.
I, because it's one of my favorites of the album. But
Cool.
it sounds like a Genesis ABBA song.
Wow. Yeah.
You know the
Yeah.
ABBA periods of
Yeah.
Genesis. I
Yes.
think it sounds a little bit like that period. I don't know if it's
Yeah. No.
right
No.
or not.
I think you have a point. Yeah. For sure. Great stuff. Yeah. That's a good reference. Mm.
There's another song that I love a lot. It's Stratus.
Mm.
It's one of my favorites with that progressive touch at the beginning,
Mm.
and then back to the power of the 80s music. Tell us more
Mm.
about that song. I love a lot that song.
Yeah, it's a song that Rasmus wrote. I think, yeah, it's a great song, and we worked a little bit on the song in the studio, and I wrote the lyric, and yeah, it became the album opener. It's a great song, and it has like that hopeful start, and also connected to the intro where they're doing the final call. Well, the whole band is sitting by the bar, most likely, and, and it's the final call for everyone, and so that's sort of real life related, I guess as well. Um, yeah, I mean, it's Stratus. It's sort of like the escapist song on the album where you push things away. You don't want to deal with it now. There's never any a good moment to deal with reality, so you keep pushing it away, and of course, there's a danger in that as well. And
Totally.
also how we as people we constantly distract ourselves to not having to deal with stuff, so it's has sort of like a double meaning, and has like a very empowering melody, but it's also, yeah, it's quite how can I say, connected to reality in many ways. Yeah.
Totally.
Mm.
I have a special question because how do you manage to write songs when most of the musicians in the band were kids in the 80s?
Yeah. No.
So how do you manage that kind? Because you didn't live this period of your life. You were a kid, absolutely. You were, I think,
Mm.
in 80s. You are 2 years old, I think.
Mm.
So how are you inspired by this music that you don't live when at that time?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very good question. I mean, I was born in '78, which
Exactly.
is one of my favorite musical years. So it's kind of weird. I mean, I wasn't there to listen, but I discovered so much music going back, and
Because the first band you
yeah,
created was Soilwork, so it's very different from that kind of
yeah,
music.
yeah,
So, what is the link between the Soilwork, the Night Flight
yeah.
Orchestra? The music is not the same.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it is interesting. It's fascinating, but I think I was raised on so much radio, pop and rock, riding around in my mom's car. She was a big music fan, still is, but back then she was really, really listening to a lot of music, and there was always music around me. My parents are not musicians, but they loved music, and I mean that's the only explanation I have, really, and then later in the '90s, I really was into discovering '70s and '80s bands, so I think I discovered a lot during that time, and then also meeting David, who had like a whole new dimension of bands that I'd never heard of. I mean, and introduced me to. So I guess my ears are very trained, but I also managed to somehow find a personal expression, and not just, because this band is not as like, oh, look at us, we can sound like Foreigner in 1982. It's not about that. It's about a way of performing and writing songs, a tradition that we've found, and we've like noticed. We sort of we broke the code somehow, like to
Yes.
to to what the secret there, without having to rehash things or trying to be only like a nostalgia act. It's so much more. So it's yeah.
So let's talk about live concerts. you have never released a live album or a live DVD. Do you have some plans for this?
I would love to do a real concert film like bands used to do back in the day. That's something that you
Yes,
never really see, like Wings Over America or something like that.
yes,
Yeah,
fantastic.
I would love to do that. So that's something that we're looking into as well. We need to find like a suitable venue to get that, vibe. And then you want to follow the band, of course, on the road. Like, yeah, I mean, I can really see it. I can see it in my mind. But yeah, we're gonna work on something, I think.
Fantastic. So I know that you will be in France and in February. What can we expect from the new shows?
Well, I mean, we've definitely grown as a live band and playing these new songs live as well. I think that's adding another, um, dimension to the whole thing, and we're trying everything we can with what we have. We're still playing fairly small venues, and we're 8 people, so we don't really have that much room for stage props. I mean, if we could choose and have the budget for it, we would have picked a really big venue and where we brought in the side of a 747 and make our entrance that way. It's only there's so many things we could do, but we with what we have, we try our best to make it a very memorable rock show the way it was meant to be.
Fantastic.
So yeah, it's gonna be some really great shows, I'm sure.
Okay, so remind
Mm.
for our listeners that the album Give Us the Moon will be released at 31st January
Mm.
2025. We hope you the best for this song. We love a lot that song, that album. It's a
Mm.
really, really great album. So we hope you the best. Of course, we will be there in February to see you, of course,
Very
at the
cool,
concert.
very cool.
Okay,
Thank you so much. Thank you
thank
for
you
the
very much.
support.
Thank you,
Enjoy
Bjorn.
your holidays. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye. Bye.